call the meeting to order. A moment of silent prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle.
Present.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Present.
Councilman Jenny.
Here.
Councilwoman Pies.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Councilman Tucson.
Present.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
All right. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to approve, receive, approve, and file the minutes of the regular city council meeting held August 8th, 2022, and to receive and file the library board meeting held June 16th, 2022.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment on agenda items. That's only if you're speaking on the agenda that is in front of you and not any other things that you wish to discuss. So if you have something that you want to change or add to for the agenda, now is your time to speak. Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda. Resolution is needed.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 11.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Pies. Discussion.
Madam Mayor?
Sorry.
Two quick things. I'm hoping that the city manager can shed some light on the payment to Safe Built, and also, just because of how high it is, and to kind of let the public know some of the rules surrounding what the city can get paid. And also, there is a payment that's going out to Guardian Sewers for a number of repairs that they needed to do. And I was curious about the repair costs in terms of the stop box repairs for Tim Hortons and that kind of thing. Does that come back to the city from that business once it's, you know, I mean, I'm assuming we recoup some of these amounts.
Okay, I'll answer the first question. The payment to Safe Built for $128,000. That is for permitting, that is for reviewing, editing, I want to say altering, revising all of the plans. This has to do with North Point. Safe Built sends their engineers, they take a look at the plans, they make sure that everything is permitted correctly. Right now, what's happening is we have soil remediation. I want to say that there's tiers of concrete going into support surfaces, and we have to be in compliance with Eagle regulations. We have to make sure that the buildings are safe and structural. And this payment for $128,000, well, we receive a check for about $156,000 or $170,000. So what's happening is this is Safe Built's share. The city, I want to say, gets paid 20% off of that, and we are reinvesting that money back into the building department. We're going to do an egress. We're going to do windows. We have some ceiling issues in the area, and Jim LaPalme, he's here from Safe Built. Did I miss anything?
Good evening, John, Mrs. Mayor, Council, Sharon, Leslie. Okay, so the contract is written with an 80-20 split, so the check was substantial for the first building. The first building is the second largest of the three buildings. So we do all the plan review, the permitting, and then basically we're married to this project for the next 2 years. So all the inspections and everything that we're going to do in the next 2 years is coming out of that money that you're approving or hopefully approving this evening. Last month, we took in the check for the next building, which is actually a larger building. So next month, that money to be approved is even gonna be larger. And then subsequently, the following month is the smallest of the three buildings. So for 3 months, there are gonna be substantial payments to Safe Built. In those 3 months, the city's going to receive about $80,000. That $80,000 is supposed to stay in the building department. You can't take funds generated from permitting and building department fees and reappropriate them to other departments, like you can hire a police officer, so on and so forth. I know the building needs a lot of repairs, and I had a conversation with John. You know, some of the windows that are going in downstairs, the security doors, a portion of your generator that you're purchasing, stuff like that. You could take this money and subsidize or pay for those repairs, and it's legal. It seems like a lot, but we are the ones that basically are gonna be married to that project for a couple years. I know a lot of people thought, you know, this project's gonna be a year and this is gonna be done, but it's not a perfect world. I mean, they're already running into little issues with the soil conditions over there. Usually a spread footing, right, a trench footing. It's approximately 2 feet wide by 4 feet deep. The soils ain't holding up over there. They're actually digging them 2 feet by 9 feet deep. So they're incurring concrete costs 3 times of what they expected. So now they're thinking of going to a pier system, which is fine to do. So now they're re-engineering the structures to go on piers, which means they gotta submit all those drawings again. And once again, we gotta do all the reviews to make sure they comply with state regulations and so on and so forth. A portion of that money too is our average month, you know, which is usually between 30 and 50. I think 30 or 40,000 of that would be our average month, and I think that's gonna be repeated next month. But next month it's larger, but that's the big building. And then the third month is the last of the 3 buildings. There will be other permitting going on where the city will generate some funds when they start pulling electrical, mechanical, and plumbing permits. So there's more funds that will be coming to the city.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that the public is aware. Through the permitting process, which is what we're seeing money here from,
Correct.
your company is then committed to doing all the inspections and everything else, and this is how the inspection costs and this sort of thing is generated. So I just want to kind of make it clear that you're not making some, you know, the city is certainly not in a position where we're going to be making all kinds of money, because as you mentioned, it has to stay within the building department. It doesn't go into the general fund in any
Correct.
way.
Correct.
And so, you
But
know,
it gives you more money to take care of some of the needs you have in the building.
right.
And that would be my suggestion as to how to use it, to be compliant.
I just didn't want people to say, well, Harper Wood should have their own, you know, inspector that's gonna do this, and, you know, we could pay them with that $100,000. That's not how it's gonna operate. I mean, that's not where the money is. We couldn't do it with one person, you know?
No, I mean, we got myself, the building official. We got Jeff Whitehair, who replaced the late Jim Benich as a rental inspector. Recently, we hired Gabriel Townsend, who came on board because I no longer have time to do the rentals because I'm over at that site. Then we have our plumbing, mechanical, and electrical inspectors. Then we have Greg McBriar, who's ordinance and fire inspector. In fact, Greg and I are both scheduled to take classes at the end of this month to keep our credits, to keep our license. And, you know, Safe Built pays for all that, and it's substantial, but it has to be done or else we wouldn't have our license. Every 3 years, we have to maintain so many credit hours to keep our license. You know, then you got the vehicles, you got the gas, you got the insurance on the vehicles, health insurance. So that all comes out of that, and it's for 2 years.
Thank you.
You know, we're not gonna get those large payments. It's gonna happen this month and the next 2 months, but then for the next 2 years, that's the money. In fact, when we take in large payments like that, Safe Built corporate, they disperse that money over a 2-year time. They don't just like, hey, you know, we got a bunch of, you know, they realize it's gonna be a long haul. So the finance department, they break it down to where like 24 months and spread it out so they know that that money's there to pay their staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One question, is that microphone
Oh.
working over there?
Pardon
Is
me?
your microphone working?
Is the microphone work? Yeah, if I get real close.
All right, is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, while you're up here, so after these 3 months, we're looking at about 300,000.
Correct, I'm not sure what the third building's gonna bring in just yet, or our regular month of just doing rentals, C of Os, miscellaneous permitting, you know, for driveways and fences and stuff like that.
All right, is there any
Okay.
further discussion? Okay, thank you,
Thank
Jim. Roll call vote?
Um,
Oh, you had
I
something
had
else.
that second
That's right, you
question.
had your second question?
Right, and that had to do with the sewers, the Guardian.
The Guardian.
The
Okay,
cost.
yeah, most of, I want to say, most of the cost, this cost has been for emergency main break repairs, Vernier, Eastwood, Country Club,
Huntington.
et cetera. You know, it was emergency work. We need Guardian to assist the DPW with the repairs. It's emergency nature.
Well,
So-
the question had to do with the stop box repairs at Tim Horton, and I wondered if we were gonna get some of that money back from Tim Horton. Do they deal with, you know, do they,
If we can bill
Repair.
them or work out something, we certainly would.
Heather?
Heather, do you have anything to add? Matt?
Good evening.
Account.
Stop boxes are considered part of the city's water main system. They are our responsibility to maintain and repair. So if there's a way, like, they needed their stop box repaired so that they can disconnect their services for demolition, we won't do the disconnect, so we won't incur that cost, but it's our responsibility to make sure that stop box is functional. So, if there's a way to recoup the cost, we will, but
Most of the
generally
time.
speaking, stop box repairs are not recoupable costs.
okay, and can I ask another question? This also came from their bill, and this, the way it's written, it says, made repairs on 2 of the new clamps we installed. That was, our page 38 in our, it would be, Guardian Sewer, oh, which number? 4th or 5th page maybe, of the invoice, invoice number 8711. And I just wondered if there is, the way it's written, it sounds as if they put in a new clamp that failed and then, they had to go in and
We had to go in and
repair
tighten
it.
the bolts,
Okay,
so
and,
they leaked. We had to go back and make an additional repair.
okay, so then my question becomes, there's no guarantee on this work? So we're paying another
That's-
$2,500
Well, that's a
for it.
failure of the clamp, not a failure of the contractor,
Okay,
so.
all right, even though they
Correct.
said that they're new and all
Right.
this, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'd like to add also that the city does have escrow accounts on behalf of Tim Hortons and certain contractors that we work with too.
All right, thank you.
All All right, now, can I have a roll call vote, Mrs. Frank?
Yes. Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, that brings us to old business, and since we have none, we move on to new business and city manager report.
Item G1, confirm appointment, Recreation Director, Mayor and Council. Following the recent departure of former Director Siobhan Wolf, presented herein is an agreement that has been prepared for Christine Scarrett to replace her. Ms. Scarrett is currently the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation and has been employed with the department for the last 6 years. She maintains department information, helps with the city newsletter, organizes recreation classes and events, and is hands-on with all office administration. It has been reviewed by the city attorney for form and by me for content. I believe that it is fair and reasonable agreement, and it is recommended that it be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor? I'll offer the resolution to confirm the appointment of Christine Scarrett as Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Harper Woods, and further to approve the employment agreement between the City of Harper Woods and Director Scarrett, and further to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Support.
Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I've known Ms. Scarrett for many years, and I know her to be a hard worker and be very dependable and reliable.
We all agree with that.
Yep.
And hopefully she won't.
Are there
leave
any
anyway.
further discussions? All right. Can we have a roll call vote, Mrs. Frank?
Yes. Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All righty then. Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Item G2, progress payment number 3, Johnston and Salter Park basketball courts number 180-263 and number 180-264. Mayor and Council, attached is a letter from our city engineers transmitting progress payment number 3 on the Salter and Johnson Park basketball facility improvements number 180-263 and number 180-264. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Pies.
I'll offer by resolution to approve payment to Warren Contractors and Development, Inc. in the amount of $146,132.26 for progress payment number 3 on the Salter and Johnston Parks basketball facility improvements, number 180-263 and number 180-264.
Support.
Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I noticed that this is not a final, so I'm curious as to what needs to still take place. I know we have water fountains or something that are going in. I don't know if this is under the same contract or not.
We have water fountains going out there. We have installation of a gate. We also have further treatment of the asphalt surface. That's coming up, and I want to say that's about it. We got the benches all recut and cemented in, so I think we're pretty close to final.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
You've mentioned these, I was curious about, what about Johnston Park as far as the tennis courts and the pickleball courts, as far as repainting the lines in there? I thought that was supposed to be included too.
That's a different grant, yeah.
Different grant.
Yeah.
And the water fountains, they look really nice out there. Are they working yet?
Excuse me?
Why did I have to stop? I just
Yeah.
asked her a question, I hadn't finished.
You gotta go through the mayor.
I did.
Not to continue, okay.
Okay.
You just do that, okay. In any time in the future, Chris, if you come up to the podium, and that way we can address back and forth and be through with it. Okay, thank you. So, did you finish your question, Mr.
Toussaint, yes.
Toussaint? All right, roll call vote, Ms. Franks?
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G3, progress payment number 4, final, water service material investigation, number 180-265. Mayor and council, attaches a letter from our city engineers transmitting progress payment number 4, final, on the water service material investigation program, number 180-265. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Williams?
I'll offer the resolution. By resolution, approve payment to ML Chartier Incorporated in the amount of $27,146.25 for progress payment number 4 final on the water service material investigation program, number 180-265.
Support.
Support, Jenny. Discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G4, City Hall flooring proposal. Mayor and council, attached is a memorandum from the Director of Public Safety requesting approval to replace the flooring in the front vestibule of City Hall lobby and the remainder of the public access portion of the city offices. Several bids were sent out and only one was received. I have reviewed this with him and it is recommended that the bid submitted be accepted. It is further requested that competitive bidding be waived in accordance with city policy. I want to say funding will be from the remainder of the capital improvement plan, not the general fund plan, general fund. And Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution to accept the bid submitted by Creative Office Interiors in the amount of $10,796.08 for the replacement of flooring in the City Hall public access areas, and further that competitive bidding be waived as only one vendor submitted a bid in accordance with city policy.
Support.
Support. Okay, any discussion?
Madam Mayor? I recall several years ago, we had carpeting replaced. I had thought that was in the same area. Am I incorrect?
It's 20 years old,
Then I'm thinking of behind the glass wall, then is what I'm thinking of. Okay,
Probably,
okay.
yeah.
Access,
All right,
yes.
thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Quick question, just by like reading over this, is it going to be significantly different color than what we're seeing in here? Because what I'm reading is obsidian, which sounds like black.
It's gonna be low maintenance, something that hides dirt. I mean, you know, it's gonna be made for the public, you know, wear and tear to last a long time,
All right.
yeah.
Do
Good,
you
thank
have anything to offer or add to it, Jason?
No, I don't.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, just a question. We were talking about safe building, the funding, and we would get a certain percentage of it and it had to be done with the building fund. Just out of curiosity, could some of that funding be used for this too? Or is that's
We're
not the
gonna
same
keep
thing?
that, it has to be in the
It's two different
building
things,
department. We have designated expenditures there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, okay. All right, is there any further discussions? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilman Toussaint.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G5, adopt the 2023 budget schedule. Mayor and council, Attached is the proposed schedule for the review of the 2023 budget. It is recommended that the schedule be approved. Mayor, a motion is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Tucson.
by motion, approve the 2023 budget meeting schedule with workshops to be held at regular meetings on October 3rd and October 17th, and only if necessary to hold special meetings on October 10th and October 24th, and further to hold a public hearing on the 2023 budget on November 7th, 2022.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I wouldn't mind if we had a budget session on October 10th. If I remember last time, our first budget session went really, really late. And so rather than like having something going on so late after a council meeting, if we just had one extra meeting that we could focus on just the budget on the 10th, October 10th, I think that would not be so bad, unless you think because we've already been through it together with Mr. Szymanski as the acting city manager, that if it will go more quickly, but I just remember it going on very, very late, very late.
If that's the council's wish, then
We'll see
so
what
be
happens.
it, yeah.
Well, Madam Mayor, do you think it will go more quickly this year than it did last time, or because we've been through it, or do you think it'll take the same amount of time?
I don't know. I really don't know.
You wanna ask the
And
city
so
manager?
that's why we have these 2 dates, because if we can finish everything on the 3rd, which we have previously done,
Yeah,
you know,
we did, it was just grueling. The first meeting was
Yeah,
grueling,
it
the
was
second one
grueling.
wasn't bad.
I don't
Yeah.
think we got out of there until almost 11 o'clock that night.
Right.
Right.
I
So-
think I fell asleep.
So yeah, you did. But
It was,
anyway.
it was that bad.
Well, we just have to have light business that day.
Yeah,
that's-
so
Yeah.
what will happen, if it gets to be too long, we will just cut it off and so we won't drain ourselves to be crazy. So we'll just have the next date. So we got the both dates there, and if it gets to be too much, then we'll just move it to the next date to finish it up.
Sounds good.
We will not go through what we did last time.
Thank
Because
you.
that was crazy.
Yeah, my body can't stay up that late, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, okay, all right, is there any further discussion? All right, I need a motion. That was a motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item G6, designation of voting delegates, Michigan Municipal League. Mayor and council, as you are aware, the Michigan Municipal League will be holding their annual meeting during the October 19th through 21st, 2022 convention, and it is customary to designate one of our officials as a representative to cast votes on the city's behalf for trustees, policies, and other business matters. It is also customary that the mayor be the designee. Mayor, a motion is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Swicki?
I'll offer the motion to designate Mayor Kindle as the city's official delegate at the Michigan Municipal League's annual meeting to be held from October 19th through the 21st at their convention.
Yeah,
Support.
support, okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes the city manager's reports.
Okay, so before we move any further, we had another horrific incident in Harper Woods on Friday. And once again, our police department and also the assistance of our fire department, I believe, some of them, were instrumental in keeping us safe once again. And I just want to say thank you to all you guys and women it had to be another horrific day for you guys, and you can't ever get used to this, you know, and for a small city to have the same thing happen in essence in less than 6 months apart, it's just mind-boggling. But that also shows us how important it is for us, for mental health, and just plain caring about one another. We cannot continue on the vein that we are going in as a country. It's dogmatic, it's partisan, and it's saying evil to evil. We can't operate like that as a country. And we need to make sure that we reach out to each of our neighbors. And you just don't walk past people without speaking. I mean, maybe you don't like the way they blast their music, but if you talk to them, maybe they may stop blasting it. I don't know. But I think we need to put out that olive branch to each one of our neighbors, and to try to understand that everybody has a different focus in life, and maybe their focus is not your focus, but that we ought to be understanding to be able to understand that we all are here together for the betterment of our community. And we all moved here for a reason. We moved here because we like the small town feel and being next to a big city, but we still have this caring attitude here in our city. So I think my police department, our fire department for stepping up and helping. And at some later date, we will make sure that we address you guys, because you've had to do a whole lot with a little bit of help, you know, and we appreciate you. And I thank you, Jason, for your leadership. I really appreciate you. So, and I'm sure everyone here on council feel the same way, because in this lawless land, we could not live without our police department. I don't care. And when we call and you're there, it's a blessing. We used to think it was just a right, but no, it's a blessing that we have someone that's answering the call when we call for help. So thank you. Now, it's called to audience. Yes. You really, Ann, you can talk from where you are.
Yes, I am. I don't need a microphone.
Yeah,
And I go to 0446 Lennon. I'm not here to complain. I have a lot of complaints, but that's for another day. I'm here for some very important information that I'd like to give to everybody. The Redeemer Methodist Church on Fernier at the freeway next door to the Chase Bank is having a Red Cross blood drive on the 23rd of September from 1 to 7. They also will be giving gift cards out to people that come. They need lots of donors, but they are desperate for donors of color, because this happens to be sickle cell anemia month.
Yeah.
So I have some brochures I'd like to leave with the city council if you can post them. Okay?
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, Don Serrana on Lockmore, off the freeway. Here's something that's caught my attention here on the consent agenda. You guys kind of blew through it kind of quick. Does the city of Harper Woods owe somebody $1,037,037,022?
I hope not.
That's number one.
Oh, the accounts payable.
Accounts payable. That's all of, those are all of the bills that have come in.
It's a million.
And so-
Well, how many years is that?
So-
$1 million, yeah.
If you
That's
look,
gotta be like 10 years or,
Yeah, you're missing the
Oh, it's
period.
just a million? Oh.
It's a
That's
whole month, though, because we only meet once a month in the summer. So it's,
So it's all of the bills that have been paid this whole
It's
month.
not a billion, though, it's just a million.
A million.
Yeah.
just a million,
So it's
yeah.
just a misprint.
Any deductions,
No, no,
insurance,
yeah.
everything, child support, everything,
That's a
everything.
decimal in the back right there.
Yes.
He's so funny.
Identify yourself when you come to the mic.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Thank you for having this meeting and this opportunity to speak. My name is George LaPastora. I live at 20919 Hawthorne. I've been in the community 22 years. I love my community, great neighbors. I have a neighbor here, Les Kumlosen. So we just have two concerns. The past few years, there have been a lot of speeding. Where we live, you have Glenn's Liquor, Taco Bell, and Canton. So as you can imagine, especially on the weekend, the party goers go to Taco Bell, get the liquor, throw it on my street, okay? I find Taco Bell containers, little liquor containers, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. And so that's just one component. The second component is the speeding. Lately, it's gotten so bad. You know, there's a Hellcat down the road. Everyone knows what a Hellcat is. That thing is loud. It's pulling 40 to 60 miles an hour to the stop sign on Canton. I'm glad they stopped because it would have been a tragedy right there. So I'm just concerned. A lot of my neighbors are concerned. And Mr. Kumlosen will probably want to speak next if he can. He's a retired person. He's there every day on the front porch. He observes these things. I don't see it as much. I'm working, stuck in my basement, the COVID thing. But I just wanted to ask the council if there's anything we can do. I think something along the lines of a removable speed bump, like in Detroit. You can remove it during the winter for snow plowing. And the second thing is, I don't think it'll impose any difficulties on Taco Bell or Glenn's or Mr. C's, but something along the lines of maybe shutting off the street at the alleyway. So you're going to have the egress in the alleys. The flow of commerce will take place, but you're not going to have the speeders and the trash. So it's just one suggestion. A lot of my neighbors, they wanted to come here tonight. So I'm just curious, what's it going to take to bring it to your attention? A petition, signatures? You let me know, and we'll get it done. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, I think it's important to mention, Mr. LaPastora is our representative for the city of Harper Woods to the Grosse Pointe Public Library System.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I just wanted
Hi.
the public to know that too.
Hi, I'm the Mr. Camoson that George is talking about. The only thing I like to add is that I do have a lot of time to see the traffic on Hawthorne particularly. And there's a stop sign on Canton, and I wish I could have taken video, but they have crossed Canton at 50 miles an hour, not even stopping.
Right.
And this happens once an hour. It's not like a once a week type of a thing. And you talk about horrendous situations. Something is going to happen on our street. We starting to have younger kids, both on the Grosse Pointe side and on our side. So, and pets, sometimes pets get loose. So somebody's gonna get really hurt. Now, I don't know if you guys are empowered to do anything about this. I know you can't. He left. You can't put a police officer
Right.
on a block and watch traffic and
He's
everything.
behind you.
Pardon me?
Jason, the Chief of Director of
Oh,
Public Safety is right
sorry.
behind you.
I'm sorry.
And so, when you get through, before this meeting is over, you will talk to him and Heather also about possible
Okay.
speed bumps. But we also well, once again, we did it on this side of Harper Woods per se, and we're planning another speed traffic blitz or something, but it won't be announced.
Yeah.
like
Well,
we did
I wish
before.
only one
It
more
will- It
thing
will just happen. And
one
so
more
we
thing
will
that
make
you
sure
could
that
do
your street
is
gets some
being is,
attention.
we're just on the other side of Vernia Road.
Yeah,
We're in that
I
little
know.
pocket.
Right,
We don't really get a whole lot of traffic from the police. I don't know whether they don't have the time, and I'm not about to rebuttal that, but it's just getting to the point where it's unsafe to
Well, I
walk on the
understand.
street, because somebody's gonna end up on the sidewalk, car-wise. And that's what I'm afraid of. Me and my wife take our walk in the evening, and we don't move so quick anymore. So, that's all I have to say. Thank
all
you.
right, thank you. But you'll see him after the meeting. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Okay. Good evening, John Shinburn, Roscommon, 19159. We put up these beautiful basketball courts and all that for these kids to go to, and we still got a problem in the streets. And I've talked to the police about it, and the kids have gotten smarter. They don't always put the basketball deal in the street. What they do is put it on the city property between the curve and the sidewalk. And the officers can't do anything about that. And if you call, they can tell the kids, or if you tell the kids they shouldn't, they flip you off. So I don't know if you guys have the power without having to make a ordinance saying the police can tell them they have to take that down. Address is 18747 on Woodcrest for sure. And I've had a long talk with them, and they can go out and tell the kids to stay out of the street, but they can't make them remove that basketball court.
Well, if it's between the city, if it's on city property,
Well, officers said they don't have the right to do that unless you make an ordinance. Even though it's city property, I have no idea what can be done. It's city property. It's not private property. If I'm wrong, the curb and the sidewalk still belongs to the city, right? Okay. Well, they're putting it there, and I'm finding that elsewhere. And we're getting people starting to walk in the streets again.
we have a ticket. It's a ticket on the,
If it's
on
in the
books
street,
for that. It is a ticket on the books for that.
okay. So the second thing is, the big field at Beacon School, is that owned by the city or owned by the school?
It's the school district.
That's the school district. Okay. Because it's getting to be a real debacle with the schools in Harper Woods here and the traffic. You have Chandler Park, who bottles up Kelly Road for about an hour and a half between State Fair. In fact, it was already, this morning, it was backed up all the way past State Fair. You have a debacle here with Beacon, and thought, why don't we have them, or ask them, to put a parking lot in that field, because it's not being used for anything else, and have their people let their kids off there. In Tyrone, same thing, it's a debacle over there. My grandson doesn't go to these schools, but I still got a problem getting past them. And there's many times that I've seen the fire department or the police or an ambulance try to get through there, and they can't. It's ridiculous. And school says it's your problem because it's parking. It's not theirs. You guys say it's the school's problem because they're the ones that are doing it. I don't know who's right, but something's got to be done. Either start giving a bunch of tickets or something, or, you know, I think putting a parking lot on the side of that field that used to be a baseball field would be great for that, for Beacon School. You wouldn't have that problem over there.
All right, thank you.
Got one more thing. Oh, one more thing. I'd like to
Sir, Mr. Shamwood?
tell the police, they did a very fine job, and they always do. And they always answer and talk to me when I call them. I'm
Thank
very appreciative of them.
All right, we appreciate you. All right, is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak? Seeing no hands, we'll move to city council, and starting with you, Councilwoman Williams.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had a few things. One was the speed bumps. I know at previous council meetings, we've mentioned speed bumps and different things that we could do. And because our streets are made out of, what's it, asphalt?
Concrete.
Concrete, that some certain types of speed bumps we couldn't do. And I know the ones that we tried previously, I've seen them in like pieces. So I'm not sure if we ever got back to what we were going to do about speed bumps.
We need to do. That's something we're working on.
Yeah, we're looking at what can be done.
Right.
There's really no perfect solution.
Right.
You know, either way, you have to dig into the road.
Mhm.
We have concrete roads. You can have integrity problems with the roads if you start cutting and mixing asphalt there. We can actually make a problem worse. Some of the speed bumps that we have put on the roads, they get knocked loose, you know, by drivers. So we're looking at a variety of things, you know.
And a couple other things. I do want to commend our police and fire department on their response. Because I know it's a dangerous situation, and they are people too. And they have to put their lives on the line to protect us, to serve and protect. So, you know, it's a scary situation for everybody. So I do thank you for your service. And that's the whole department. Thank you. And the third thing is the charter committee. I was wondering, have we came up with a date, because we have yet to meet.
We'll let you know very shortly.
Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Jenny?
Just really quick, as we all know, Sunday is September 11th.
Yes.
And Vets Post 57 will be having a small ceremony in the parking lot at noon in remembrance of the 9/11 attack. And, you know, we have the beam over there and the rock, so if you guys get a chance, come on over and say a little prayer and be nice and quick, and please show up if you can.
What time?
Noon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have.
Councilwoman Pius?
Yeah, I also wanted to thank our police department. One summer, and they've been, less than a couple of months, they've been involved in two especially difficult and rare, very rare situations that I'm just so proud of everybody. What I'm especially impressed by is that you hear a lot these days about police abuse, suspects being shot or killed or maimed in some way by the police. And here we've got this extraordinary two situations, and in both instances, our police department was able to arrest the suspects without even significant injury to them. It's, you don't hear much about that, and I'm just so glad that our city is setting this, what I see as an example of conscientiousness and still getting the job done. So I want to say thank you. I know saying thanks by bringing in a meal isn't enough sometimes for our officers. But I think our residents, or at least the residents here, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, which I think goes further than anything else, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate the services that, that our public safety office has for the officers. I heard from somebody very recently that thought that our officers were not addressed or taken care of in some way during these situations. I asked Director Hammerly about this, and he assured me that we do in fact offer free counseling to our officers or anybody that's affected by this, as well as some other services. So I really appreciate that too. I think Harper Woods officers, for as difficult and a small force that we have, I think we're a really good example for the state with the programs we offer also. Second thing is I received an email from a resident whose power outage lasted 91 hours this past week due to the storm last Monday. Of course, she's frustrated, I think everybody is, but she's wondering also about our relationship with DTE. And I'm wondering if anyone here, if our acting city manager could shed any light on what's going on with DTE and the city. We hear a lot about the trees falling over. I know this was a rare wind event, but 91 hours. When things happen here, it seems like all the time.
We do have a good relationship with
Yeah.
DTE.
Right.
I want to say that we also have an escrow account with DTE. If unusual circumstances come up, I would not, I would entertain going into that escrow account on behalf of somebody, if we have an unusual situation.
Okay. So I can follow up with you then
Sure.
about that later. Okay,
Sure.
thank you. That's all.
And also to say that email was, I responded to the email as well as to, because it was very pointed to say, did we care about the community?
Right.
And I thought it was very unfair for someone to just pointedly say that we didn't care. DTE is an entity, a corporation that we don't control. And we can do the best that we can do in asking them to respond to our needs, but our needs are no different than any other community that they service. And they decide on what level they respond to us as customers. And as you know, for this entire season, DTE has been working diligently in our community with tree trimming and stuff, but I think it also needs to work about the grid, because I think that this was more of a grid problem than it was trees that was, or transformers. I'm not sure. I haven't, I have a meeting scheduled next week with DTE, but so that I can get a total breakdown on what happened, so that we won't be facing this, especially not during the winter months and with ice and whatever, but we should not face this kind of an outage again. And I hope not, but I want answers as well as everybody else that's sitting up here. Our primary concern is the residents of Harper Woods, not a corporation. And we need to make sure everyone understands that. Is there anything else, Mrs. Pires?
No.
Mrs. Wiki?
All right, and I also got that letter. I chose not to respond because I was afraid I was gonna give a rather snarky response. And the resident told me that, along with stray and barking dogs, speeding vehicles, and fireworks, it's time to move. And I thought, I don't think there's any community in Michigan
That's
that
right.
doesn't have dogs barking, vehicles speeding, or heaven knows fireworks,
Right.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe a gated community in Florida? I don't know, but
Well, then you
that
got
really got my,
You got the alligator.
really got it. Yeah, and when a cold snap happens, you have the things dropping from the ceiling, and from the trees. Anyway, no, I thought we always had a pretty decent relationship, and that Harper Woods, even though this past year seems to have had, you know, a number of areas of the community where we were having outages. Other communities nearby have even more issues going on, and so I thought, you know, we were doing okay. I wanted to address the police as well, and I think all of us understand that we ask our police and our fire department to do, and especially the police, the ugly business of our society. We task these officers, and believe me, as council members, we hear it all the time also. Why aren't they out there all the time, you know, arresting these people? I say it myself. I've got some black car that's with red rims that blasts through the stop sign in front of my house all the time, you
Yeah.
know? And so I get frustrated too.
They almost
you
hit
know,
me.
we had a resident that got in touch that said that it's not her business to go around the community and report, you know, houses that have violations. That, you know, this is what we pay the police to do. And I'm thinking, no, the police can't be everywhere. This is my neighborhood. You know, I need to also be aware and be alert and take steps. But, you know, to say that everything in our city falls on the shoulders of the police isn't fair. But at the same time, there is a lot of mental health, and you'd mentioned it, Madam Mayor, there are a lot of mental health issues, and I think the last 2 years really raised the bar on that. We really have a lot of people who are frustrated and angry, and society, you know, I mean, the social structure is breaking down to one degree or another. And so we know there's a mental health crisis. Our governor has mentioned that she wants to put money toward mental health. And I would like to see us reach out and say, Madam Governor,
Oh, yeah, we already did.
good. We need some support here.
Yes.
Because the police department can't do it alone. And I did suggest to council members to read this document that is put out by the Justice Center Council of State Governments on police mental health collaboration. And I have this copy. I mean, if our police chief wants to see it, if he hasn't yet, and he probably has already seen it. But one of the things they talk about, the first step, is to get a baseline on how often things are happening in the community. And repeat offenders, you know, especially repeat people who call into 911 because there's an issue that's repeatedly happening. And if we can get a baseline on that, and then work toward getting mental health collaboration into our community, and hopefully the governor giving us some money to enable us to do that. So I'm glad to hear that was already, you know,
Oh, that's
approached.
conversation. Yeah.
I'm also going to task our upcoming state representative with taking some of these concerns, you know, to Lansing with you. I don't know, I'd love to be able to hear from the police. I'm sure that it would be more valuable to you than it would be to me. But one of the things that you're not able to do, with the exception of the cameras that they've now put on school buses, on the stop signs of school buses, that can record violators and ticket violators from that camera action. That's the only thing I know of where cameras can be used for ticketing in our state. I would love to be able, as a community, and I hope that, you know, this would be the support of the police department as well, to be able to ticket from a standing camera. You know, to be able to ticket these people, and then let's get cameras up on stop signs, you know, let's get these violators. Anyway, enough said on that topic, and hopefully, you know, especially with school in session now, that something will sink in to the people that are flying through school zones, flying through these areas, 40 miles an hour on a side street. Mr. Shenburn brought up the idea of the problem at our schools and parking. And I know that, I'm not familiar with all of the traffic areas, but I am familiar with what happens at Beacon. And I have to agree, we have parents who are double parking on Woodside. We have parents who are parking on Beaconsfield, blocking traffic, and that situation is really unacceptable. And I know the police have made their way down there, and sometimes people will move when they see the police officer coming around. But something really does need to be done. A few years ago, they put in a drive where parents could go through and, you know, drive out. But parents aren't doing that, you know. So I don't know if it's ticketing that's gonna make a difference, but I know that it's a dangerous situation, because if a child is trying to get into a car that's double parked, the opportunity for injury increases. And I think that, you know, if the schools, and perhaps we can reach out to the schools and just say, you know, this has to stop, things have to change. I don't know.
What can we all do, work together to get this solved?
Yeah, we need to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Tucson?
Oh, yeah, I just, first of all, I want to compliment so many nice things I am seeing going on in the city as far as kind of uplifting it, up a little bit, you know, from the basketball courts and the water fountain. Like, I swear to God, I don't think the last time I've ever been to a park that actually had an actual working water fountain. So that's pretty exciting to see that. Believe it or not, it looks like we're gonna finally get Beaconsfield done. It seems like it's been 7 years, but that seems to be working this time good. And we're getting ready to do the city floors in here and some other maintenance right here. So it's just really exciting to see all these how we just kind of doing some more facelifts in the city to make it more beautiful for everyone.
Thank you. Couple little things. Number one, I would really like to see us having an ordinance committee meeting. Just, we've got a couple little things out there, and there's some things that, you know, we could talk about that could make things easier for our residents. If we could just pull together an ordinance committee meeting and just sort some of this stuff out. It doesn't have to be really heavy. But I do like it when they're open to the public, because the public has a right to know what's going on.
They're always open to it.
Yes, yes. And then, we've had some people talk about some traffic situations, and I think, even when it's not the day where we have the massive, you know, enforcement days, that we can still be doing some targeted enforcement. I know that Canton and Hawthorne area is really scary. I had an opportunity to invest in a house over there, and I ended up not taking it because it was the traffic was scary over there. And, I think, and then I just also wanted to thank the police. I had my own incident where I had to call the police, and, fortunately, just the fact that I had called the police, you know, talked the person down. We were able to resolve the issue prior to the police arriving. It was with the tenant. And so, just the fact that they knew that the police were coming solved the situation pretty much. So, that was helpful to be able to do that.
All right, so, I have,
Mayor?
yes.
In regards to this school system here, you gotta realize these schools were built in an era where people didn't drive their kids to school.
Right.
And we all walked. And these were built right before my time. So it's really not a fault of the parents trying to drop their kids off. That's just a part of how about on the south side of Tyrone School, where we could see how they could easily have a drop-off lane. And I wouldn't doubt that's the same case with all the municipalities or even the high schools on Kelly Road. I would suggest maybe getting a hold of a state representative and explaining to them that, you know, there is an issue and you're seeking guidance to possibly get some type of grant or funding, or you have the state do that if they own the property, is to try to get some kind of turnarounds in these because they've never built to accommodate the traffic flow that you have. And there is a problem around the school, there's no doubt. But I think it would be, you know, if somebody could, you know, go to a state representative and explain this to them, and maybe you may get some guidance from them and maybe some funding.
Well, you just
You'll
gave
be hearing a lot.
our future state rep a little bit to add to her pot of many, many things that we have for her in store, so. All right, I have the last word tonight, and just say, the projects on Beaconsfield and things like that, it's all been a delay, not on our behalf. It's the delay because of the cost of gas. Everything that you can think of needs petroleum. So therefore, when it was at its highest peak, people were not bidding on jobs and not moving. And then you also got the shortage of help. And it still is a problem. Everyone is still begging for help. So all of this combined has delayed our projects to this point. And we should be getting started on these projects in the next few weeks, barring no other incidents, you know. We just pray that everybody can flow like they said they're gonna flow. And our Eastland project is on its mark and it's moving forward, and we're so thankful for that. Tim Hortons is on his way to being demolished, and we will have a new Tim Hortons there. So we have a lot of things that's a plus, but we have some other things that we need to work on, and we can only work on those if we work on them together and not slam one another on Facebook and whatnot, but talk to each other, talk to your neighbors, instead of putting it up on Facebook or whatever. Be nice to each other. So, in saying that, Mr. Jennings?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make the motion for adjournment.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right then.
Someday I'm gonna say nay.